So I was scrolling through MMA Twitter the other day, and I came across this account, Comba Talk, I think it was called, and they pitched this fight. And I'm just going to get into it because you know what the fight is. I mean, you read the title, you've seen the thumbnail. So Holloway versus McGregor 2. Let's just make that happen. It's a weird fight, I know, and I think some people aren't sold on it right away. But as soon as I read that, I'm like, the stars aligned. This just makes so much sense to me right now. So Conor McGregor, right? If you heard of that guy, he fights out of Ireland. He has a good left hand. He takes the weirdest fights. He fought Cowboy Cerrone last time. We all know how that went. And that fight just seemed weird when it got announced. I mean, everyone thought it was really cool that Cowboy was going to get a money fight. And I think that'd be similar for Holloway. Everyone loves Holloway almost as much as Cowboy. Maybe more than Cowboy. I don't know. But Max Holloway, he's a fan favorite. But let's look at that Cowboy versus Conor fight. So Conor McGregor was away from the sport for a little bit. He had lost to Khabib, and that was his last MMA fight. Cowboy, on the other hand, had lost 2 of his previous fights. He had looked good at the 155 division, and then he lost to, who was it? He lost to Tony, and he lost to Gaethje, I think in that reverse order. But then he fights Conor. Why is that? Why does Conor want to do it? Conor says he respects Cowboy, so he wants to give him that fight. He definitely respects Max, and in fact, he's tweeted about it multiple times. How can you not respect someone like Max Holloway? Nice dude, great fighter, just great all-around dude. So we know that Conor's into these weird fights. I mean, you got the Nate Diaz fights, you got the Mayweather fight. Even Khabib was a little weird because Conor had been out for a while. And then you had Cowboy most recently this year. So let's just put Holloway in there and have them fight. I mean, they've fought once before, and I think Holloway was even the first person to bring McGregor to a decision. He didn't get knocked out. He didn't get finished, and he kind of shocked the world there. And then Holloway just obviously got much better. He became the 145 champ. I think it would be a weird fight. It'd be a nice way for Max Holloway to move up to 155. Not saying he has to stay there, but he's always said he wanted to move up there. And he had that fight against Poirier, but I feel like he didn't have enough time to really put on the weight and get there and actually be a true 155er. And the thing is, Max is in a really weird position right now because he just came off of a title fight and everyone thinks he won, right? I think 80% of the people that you ask will say that Max won that fight, but they're not going to give him a rematch right away because that'd be a trilogy, and Max had lost on paper 2 of the first 2 fights that they fought. They're not going to run it back. So Max is going to have to fight like a Cater or Zabit or someone. What are we going to do with him, right? I say screw the 145 division for now. Have Max get his big payday and have a super fight with no belt on the line. We don't need belts when it comes to McGregor because he sells alone. Now let's talk about the business side of things. Like, why would it make sense for the UFC to book this fight? One, I talked about it, pay-per-view through the roof. It's just 2 stars. I mean, Max Holloway, I don't know if you can say he's a star, but he's definitely a fan favorite. So, and you don't really need another person there for McGregor. McGregor sells alone. So you're going to make your money. You're going to make your McGregor money. And on the other side, unfortunately, it is a really good fight for McGregor, especially if it happens at 155 or 170 even. McGregor's got that left hand. He's the bigger man. He's the more powerful man. Not to say he's the better fighter, but it's just not a really great matchup for Max Holloway, and that kind of hurts to say. I mean, they did already fight once, and McGregor won that fight. So it's kind of a favorable matchup for Conor, which I think the UFC is going to take that route. They're not going to put him against a Tony Ferguson or a Dan Hooker. They're going to put him against someone who they think that he can beat, and I think that's why he was put against Cowboy. Not to disrespect Cowboy, he is a phenomenal fighter. And not to disrespect Max, he's a great fighter too. And that's not even to say that this isn't going to be an entertaining fight if it happens. I think Max would bring it. He would put on a show. But against guys like that, I think McGregor has a good shot at beating. And I think that's why the UFC would put this fight on if they did. It would certainly be a competitive fight, but it's very, very winnable for McGregor. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like below and subscribe. I have plenty of MMA content coming on this channel. And yeah, that was weird.